Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bleeding Metal podcast. My name is Pia, she, her, and as always, I'm here with my lovely co-host,
Kiki. Hi, everyone.
Hello. And as we already told you in our previous episode, we are really happy that we can talk to XANDRIA today. And we are here with Marco. Hello, Marco.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
And with Ambre. Ambre is right?
Yeah. Yes, Ambre. Hello.
We wanted to talk to you, of course, about the new album, The Wonder Still Waiting, and also about the topic of reinventing in general. The Wonder Still Waiting will be out or is out since February the 3rd, and it's your first album since 2017. At least for the fans, the band seemed to be on hold since, I don't know, late 2017 or early 2018, something like that, until past year in May, I think, when you started your social media activities again. What happened in this time period?
This thing called XANDRIA just needed a break for some time and just to breathe and rethink everything. And then at some point, I decided that I need to make a new start because I had new ideas, but I like for new music. But I felt like it needs a completely new environment to be able to really do what I want to do with it. So, and that of course took a little bit longer, and then the pandemic hit us all, and then it took even longer. But yeah, now we are back. Finally.
Yeah, and I think The Wonder Still Waiting is a really cool album for a comeback, because to me it sounds like there are a lot of the typical XANDRIA trademarks, but still you added especially Ambre's vocals and vocal skills to it, and also made it more metal than the albums before. So there is less orchestra and choir, but more focus on the metal instruments. Or how would you describe the sound of The Wonder Still Waiting?
Yeah, that's an interesting view on it. For us, we were thinking it's a lot of orchestra and choirs, and even more than we had in the past. But also more metal, probably. It felt like it. I have to say that there was not really a plan. Like we want to make it bigger in that, or we want to do more of that. We wanted just to be diverse in any case, and the rest kind of just happened that way. And but when the songwriting was proceeding, it just felt like it needed like all those things again. Of course, like orchestral arrangements and choir, and we found really great opportunities to bring those to life by, for example, the guy who did the orchestral arrangements. His name is Lukas Knöbel, and he is a film score composer, even for big Hollywood movies like Moonfall of Roland Emmerich. He was working on the soundtrack for, and also some others. And this is giving the new album this whole new, or let's say this even improved soundtrack dimension. And this is what we wanted to do, to combine metal with film scores. This is basically it. Of course, there's so much more to it, but yeah, let's put it like that for now.
Okay. And of course, what's also new, well, you had that on the very first albums, but now there are a lot of growls and harsh vocals that are mostly by you, Ambre. And we discussed this topic already before, that there are so many, especially women in metal and metalcore, who can basically do it all. And you are able to do this operatic vocal style, but also the very harsh growls and stuff like that. So first of all, that's amazing. And
thank you.
how do you see that? Is that for you a challenge that you said, oh, I want to be able to do that all? Or is it also maybe a kind of pressure from the outside that there are also thoughts like, well, if I want to do this in a band, I need to do that all? How was that for you? How do you feel about that?
That's an interesting question. Before I even joined XANDRIA or even was close to any kind of music business, I was screaming in my bedroom as a teenager. I learned it on my own, and I was inspired by, of course, metal singers that I liked, like the singer of Amorphis and things like this. I always loved to learn and develop techniques to change the color, to see what is possible to do with the voice. So I always liked it. I loved operatic vocals already also back then. Anything that can make it sound diverse and big and to add colors and different expression in the songs, I was always interested and tried to learn it on my own. Later, I developed it with vocal coaches, but so I didn't feel any pressure actually. And it came quite natural in the songs now on the new album that those things will be incorporated in, because Marco was also more free to write a little bit more heavy things, having a more diverse voice. So everything was coming together quite naturally, that some parts were ideal for screams and growls. So we were like, okay, this is pretty obvious what we have to do here. And of course, we like it, both of us, from our influences, the metal genre that we like, death metal, melodic death metal. So came on as quite naturally.
Yeah, cool.
I wanted to do so much more on this new album, and Ambre is bringing so much more to it. And so it was for me like a jackpot, because it just fits together.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. For me, I like death metal a lot. So, of course, I like the screams and growls in it. But it also felt like a bit like coming home to the classical symphonic metal style, because we discussed this before, Kiki and I, because there are so many bands with prog influences. They do the gent style on the guitar. And that was kind of a discussion that we had, because I thought, well, this makes me feel comfortable because I know it so well from my past, so to speak. And Kiki, you had some different thoughts on that.
Yes, it's a very good combination of all the history of XANDRIA. I think even what you were already mentioning, the growls, they were there in the very beginning of XANDRIA. There was a little bit of growls that Lisa used to do as well, and now it all seems to be coming together again for this new era of the band.
It's quite interesting that you say that, because you cannot hear Lisa growling on any of the albums. She did it in one part live. There was one song or two. Now that I think there was a little part on one album too. I almost forgot about it. Because it's an album, I almost never have in mind anymore.
I know it's a song is Snow White, but I'm not sure if it's only the live version that contains the growls.
Yeah, that was the live version. And there's also the song Firestorm on the Salome album that has a little part. I really just remembered it again. But it was such a little part, It was more a gimmick, and now it's a real element we use. So I think this is actually quite a difference, because it's in more than half of the songs, maybe almost all of the songs, you hear growls from Ambre now, and we incorporated it really as an ingredient now. While back then it was like one gimmick. And this was something I really loved, because I listened to death metal from the early 90s. I started, and so I always loved that. I loved the energy, the aggression, I mean, not that I'm a fan of aggression in general, but sometimes in music you want to express feelings like anger or frustration, and for that it's good if you can express it in a very intense way like that. And that was really great to have on the new album. Like on the last album, when we had Björn from Soilwork sing this "We Are Murderers, We All" line, which was supposed to sound that intense, that aggressive, because of what's behind the lyrics. And we have quite a few things to say on the new album too, which just demand a little bit more intensity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about the lyrics or the topic, because the whole album leaves me behind with very positive thoughts, even though there are lyrics that also criticize society and how we as humans treat our planet Earth. But also the title, The Wonders Still Awaiting, that's a positive thing. So it's like looking in the future with also dignity, but also like, yeah, there are problems to be solved, but we will be able to do it somehow. So was this your intention, or is it only my interpretation?
Yeah, I get the feeling that it maybe sounds a bit too hopeful, because we meant it more in a way like there are wonders awaiting, but we need to do something that we can still experience them, because right now we are not on the path there as mankind. And I'm talking about wonders, of course, not in a religious sense or spiritual or whatever you like to call this, but more like the wonders that the positive things that mankind achieved and the positive things that we can experience in life, like the wonders of nature, the wonders of creativity, of art, of technology, if it's used in a good way, these kind of things. Like millions of people on the planet were sitting in front of the TV in the end of the 60s when people were setting their foot on the moon for the first time. These kind of moments that mankind has achieved. Of course, we have all the negative things also, but this is what I mean with wonders here. And we are a little bit on a way to a future in which we might not be able to experience these wonders that might be coming still, because we just ruin it. We destroy the planet. And also, I had the feeling that mankind was on a way to also develop or evolve in societies, with more and more parts of the world becoming democratic, becoming people can be free to be what they want to be, to say what they want to say, to love who they want to love, to, pluralism, diversity, the things that enrich our society, that enrich mankind. And now there are so many movements in the world that try to push that back, like these far right-wing conservative movements. It feels like they want to take that away from mankind, like going back to medieval times. And this will prevent us from experiencing more of those wonders in the future. So it's also part a warning to say, like, okay, there might be wonders still awaiting, but we also need to stand up for it, to fight for the positive things. Otherwise they will not come. It's not just, okay, sit back and hope for it. That will not work anymore.
You were so close to destroying the album for me, so thank you for the last words that you just said. I have a very direct question to one song, to Our Stories I'll Remember. Is that a farewell song for the former members?
No, it's not. It's about someone in my family who died. And it's a song about loss and to remember the stories that you have been told by that person, and just keep them in mind, because that's the only way this person can still be alive for you in your heart.
So sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's a very nice way of dealing with those emotions as well, though, to make music, make something beautiful like that ballad out of the grief. that you must have felt. And I think that might be a good way to move a little towards the topic of today and a little bit away from the album, because a new beginning and every reinvention has to come with that as well, right? Acknowledging all of the things that we have learned so far, all of the experiences we have gained before we can start something new or elsewhere, or just, you know, reinventing the band as it's in itself must have come as well with a lot of emotions and all of the processes that you were describing in the beginning too.
Of course, I feel gratitude also, because there were a lot of musicians, of persons, people in this band, and they all made it what it was. We had good times together, we had bad times together, and we shared a lot of stories, of course. But it's not the topic of this song, and not really of any of the songs, actually. It's true that this final decision to part ways with especially the long-time members, Philip and Gerrit, who were the only ones that were still in this discussion at the time when we talked about the future, because Steven was already in Orden Ogan. It was just not made public that he left Xandria already at that point. But Philip and Gerrit, of course, they were there since the debut album, and of course we shared a long way, and of course there's also a personal relationship between us. So that made it very difficult, because you can realize that as an artist, you need to do a step like that. You need to do your own thing, because somehow it doesn't really work together on an artist level anymore, even if you respect and like each other as persons. This is a bit hard. It was not easy, I have to say. You are completely right there. It was not an easy decision. It was, I think for us all, it was quite hard. But unfortunately, sometimes we are in situations in life in which we just need a change, and it often comes with something we lose at the same time. It's never just black or white. It's never just right or wrong. It's often the right thing comes with a little bit of wrong, and that this is always connected with pain then, of course, but it's a decision that sometimes has to be made to get into a different situation in which you can follow your dream better than you could before. And when you look back then after, and you have overcome the initial pain of it, and it feels right, then you know it was the right decision. When you think okay, actually I'm able to do much more what I want to do now. So, and this is the case definitely now for me.
For sure. And then you can move forward, right? And welcome all of these new aspects of a new phase and all of these new people. Can we talk a little bit about how you met Ambre and the new members of the band, and how you started to put it together to start this new beginning finally?
Yeah, sure. There's one big difference. Ambre was there from the beginning, and so let's say a few years ago, at the time when I started thinking about new ideas for Xandria, and the other members, Taki on the drums, Tim on the bass, and Rob on the guitars, they were joining when the songwriting process was actually almost over, when it was finished, and when Ambre and me both, who were going through this process of creating it together, we were at a point when we were thinking, okay, that's feels really good what we have here. So now let's think of the next step, what we want to do with it. Because it was not always clear from the start. We were just toying around with song ideas and try her wonderful voice on it, all the options, the opportunities of the different styles that she can come up with, and which I knew that she could do because we were working on another project before, right at that time. And when I was having the first ideas for the new XANDRIA songs, it was like she was right in front of my nose, so to say, you know. So I had her voice in my mind already, and then I had these new song ideas, and it was okay. It was just 1 + 1 makes 2. It's just came together naturally at that time, because she brought all of these things that I wanted to have in the future for XANDRIA songs. The other guys, yeah, that was a little bit a mixture of asking like friends and other musicians in our surrounding, people that are new, if they know someone who knows someone who knows someone who could possibly be up for joining this band. And that worked out very well. We just had a rehearsal like in the last days for the shows, and it was so great to meet them again since the last time when we met, when we were shooting the last video. And it's always so much joy we have together. It's really, really great how it came all together.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, as you just said, it's always necessary to leave something behind when you're reinventing yourself or your band or whatever. So Ambre, how about you? Can you think about a moment where you reinvented, I don't know, yourself because you moved to another place, or I don't know, a situation where you say, well, there I had to define myself anew somehow?
The only way I can think of is more the negative things that you have inside from negative experiences, and that doesn't let you grow or evolve or be the person you want to be. So yeah, of course, it's a lot of work on myself over the years, and to finally reach a point where I am more relaxed and happier, and yeah, and the rest, like you said, it's I'm also putting it in the lyrics that kind of the song is called Scars for a reason. It's about those things, and that you might still deal with those things even though you are trying. So it's not that easy, but I think personal wise, definitely I had to trying to focus and be better from bad experiences, like everybody, right? We all have our scars and bad experience in the past. It started already in school very, very young, and it doesn't leave us. So yeah, we have to do something about it.
Yeah, sure. And it's a cool thing that as a musician you can kind of heal these scars or the wounds, at least through music. And for us as the listeners, many of us can also kind of relate to some lyrics, so that is also part of healing for other people.
Yes, absolutely. It's a healthy way of talking about it, I think, and sharing it. It's not too invasive. You can choose how much you want to say and how you're gonna say it, and you can decide to open yourself or not so much. That is the tricky part, because I did felt a little bit vulnerable when writing Scars, and a little bit scared, of course, when you start digging in the past. It's a little bit scary, but in the end, I did feel a little bit lighter. It's true.
Yeah, I can imagine. Marco, how about you? Did you have another moment in your life where you had to, I don't know, define yourself anew, or where you think, well, I moved a very huge step from who I was before, and I kind of reinvented myself personally?
There's not really one moment coming to my mind. I think we always evolve, and when I'm looking back to myself 20 years ago, I see for sure things that are different, but there was not really one point that made the difference for me. It's a lot of steps, of course, and yeah. I mean, it's simple things sometimes when you have to move from another city to the city you live in now. You give up friendships, maybe. There are people that you cannot see every week, where you used to meet in the pub, every Wednesday night, stuff like that. I think many people know this kind of thing. This is also what I can think about now, that those decisions to change something, that you always have to leave something behind, like when you move to another town, for example. Yeah. I know it's maybe not that deep,
not that
as
philosophical.
But yeah, I think the biggest changes were actually it's the typical phases in life when you are a teenager. But this is just what everyone goes through. I share quite some experiences with Ambre, like from school time. I don't have the best memories from that time. Still sometimes struggling to leave that behind, or to overcome certain things that block me from doing things the way I want to actually do them. And it's actually never really leaving you. You can just try to get conscious about it, and writing songs about it is a way of doing that, definitely.
I think we had this in a previous episode of the podcast with Laura from the Tex Avery syndrome, who said, I cannot change what was done to me, but I'm able to change the way how I look at that. And I think that's very beautiful to think about it. Kiki, do you have any questions left for XANDRIA?
What's your vision for this new era of XANDRIA?
Yeah. I can see that you might wonder that the band is coming back after such a long time. So what's the plan there? But yeah, in a way, we just wanted to get this music out first and then see what will happen. So this album, is about to be released, or I don't know when we are having this stream now, what we are recording right now, it might be released already. And then we just see what will happen because of that. Of course, we want to do a lot of those things that we did in the past with the band, like touring around the world, because these are wonderful experiences to meet all the people that are connected with us through the music, to see other places, to get to know cultures all around the world. This is something that I always loved about being in XANDRIA, that we were traveling a lot to meet other people everywhere. This is the best way of getting rid of prejudices that you carry around, maybe. People who stay in their little town all their life without seeing the world might have a lot of prejudices about people in other parts of the world. And that meeting those people is the best way of getting to know that we are all actually basically the same. We are all people. We all have our dreams. We all have our feelings. We just want to be respected. We want to be happy. And that's really, really, really a valuable experience. And I want to have that again for everyone in the band, for the new members especially, for them to have these opportunities also. So yeah, it comes down to touring the world again, actually.
Nice. Ambre, what are your plans? Also conquering the world with the band?
Yeah, I would love this. I would love to tour a lot. I really enjoy the experience.
Perfect. So thank you so much for your time, and people out there, listen to the new XANDRIA album, The Wonders Still Waiting. I think when this episode is out, the album is already out.
This was really, really great to talk to you both, and to know what's been happening behind the scenes, and wish you the best with the new album. Hope to see you live around. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot too.
It was
Thank
lovely.
you for your support.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Marco and Ambre had to leave us because they had other interviews and we didn't have more time to talk. So what I am very thrilled to know, Kiki, is when did you reinvent yourself? I think who listens to our podcast knows some facts about you. You moved from Ecuador to Germany. So if that's not a reinvention, I don't know.
An opportunity to reinvent yourself. That's true.
Yeah.
I had never looked at it that way, actually, because it was always in my, not always, but I guess it was in my plans since the very first time I came to Germany when I was 15 as an exchange student. It was just another chapter of my life. Of course, the reinvention now makes sense. I was meeting new people and they were getting to know me. And I guess I don't know, I could have become a completely different person if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Or maybe I did. In terms of an intentional reinvention, the experience of reinventing myself was intentional, I guess, when I started working freelance.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to do all of this networking and present myself as this new person that maybe due to, imposter syndrome, insecurities, I don't know, maybe I wasn't completely convinced I was, this businesswoman and going out there to more or less sell my skills. I think that was one of my reinventions. But thinking about my whole life, I think every few years, we learn so much all the time that we reinvent ourselves on a regular basis, I would say. I just turned 35 and I remembered this whole thing about the cells in your body regenerate completely like every 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So right now you are listening to a brand new Kiki. The fifth version of a completely new cellular Kiki. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking bullshit, but yes, I think we start new phases of our lives, of ourselves all the time when we keep growing, when we keep learning, or when at least when we have that as something that we like to do. I like to keep learning new things and new languages and meeting new people and learning from these people that I meet. So I think I am constantly reinventing myself, maybe. I don't know. How about you?
I can think about 3 moments or 3 times that I reinvented myself, because the first time was when I moved from Hamburg to Leipzig.
Mm-hmm.
I had a completely change of my lifestyle, because in Hamburg, I just continued doing what I did when I was a teenager. I was looking for parties and listened to metal, went to concerts and stuff like that. And that changed a lot when I moved to Leipzig, because I had my gym around the corner. I did 8 hours of sports per week at least. And I was changing my eating habits. I ate more healthy. I started eating paleo for quite a few years. And all that happened right from that moment, because I left everything behind in Hamburg. I didn't know anybody in Leipzig, or one person just a little bit. And that was it. And so I had to go out there, find new people. And yeah, that led to I was able to focus on myself more. And I took that as a chance to make these changes about my life in general, my lifestyle. So that was something that was a big change for me. And then the other one was more like a longer phase, when I started informing myself about the that racism still is a big problem in our society, that sexism still is a big problem in our society, and all these isms, all this discrimination that is still happening. Because as a white woman, I didn't have this, I'm not affected by so many of these discriminations. So only by sexism and I don't know, the others. I was not able to see so clearly because I didn't pay attention. And I informed myself mostly through podcasts and people that I followed on social media who talk a lot about these things. And that changed my whole view on discrimination and on how our society is built. Because Marco said in the talk that we had before with XANDRIA that you were just listening to, that that the world changed to a better world because everything, or because many countries turned into democracy and stuff like that. And I also thought, okay, well, that's also viewing it like we have the perfect life here, kind of. But to me, that is not true. But I had this impression that we have the perfect life here in Germany before, without discrimination and stuff like that. But that, I think, only counts for a few people, and it took me a while to see that. And yeah, then when you exited Happy Land once, then you can never go back. So I think that was another reinvention for me. And of course, the third time was when I became a mother, because what I do has consequences not only for me, but also for my child. And it's not like when you have a partner, the partner is able to live on his or her own, or on their own. And with a child, that's different. That would have so big consequences if something happens to me, or everything that I decide, or when I make bigger decisions, that made me more thoughtful maybe about the actions that I do.
Right.
But I also agree on what you said, that we develop constantly.
Yes, and it can take a lot of pain, as well, as Marco was saying, right? Sometimes to be able to evolve and grow, reinvent ourselves, or keep making our dreams true, like he was saying, it can take a lot of pain to let go of the things that are limiting you. It can take a bit of luck, a bit of being in the right place at the right time, but it also depends on you, on your intentions, on your willingness to keep moving forward. I feel like we can also often hear people say, when that happens, I'll be happy. Right? Like when I find a person, when I finally start doing this or that, or when I finally do this, then I'll be happy. And I think that's very dangerous, because we cannot keep postponing happiness. We should find happiness and things and people to be grateful for right where we are. But at the same time, we should have the goal to keep growing, to be a better person, a better professional, or a better partner, or just a better human. Or, you know what I mean? So it's this balance of being in the present while looking towards the future, and doing the things to reach those goals that you are seeing or want to see in your future to become a reality.
Yeah, that are beautiful words.
Thank you.
I agree. Something else that we were reinventing is, of course, this podcast, or our magazine in general, right?
Yes. When we started the reinvention, I have these parallels now to the XANDRIA story, because the conversation just happened. We took that break because we needed it, but then we also still had something to say, still wanted to keep doing it. And we have never had like huge ambitions of having the podcast, I don't know, bought by a huge media company. It would be great though. Email us, bleedingmetalpod@gmail.com. Or we've never, I don't think we've never like wanted to become millionaires because of or with the podcast or reach the whole world. But we do have something to say. And I think when you have something to say, there is somebody out there willing to listen to it, or even wanting to hear what you have to say. So as long as there is that, as long as we have convictions and maybe things we want to share with an audience, we will keep doing this, and we will keep changing the podcast or the format maybe, and so that it stays relevant and it stays and it keeps making us happy as well, right?
Yeah, because when you see it, when you look at our history, we started as an online magazine, not as a podcast. And we had a lot of interviews, video interviews that were on YouTube back then, or still are on YouTube.
Still are.
And we added more stuff like lifestyle topics and so on to this, to have a unique mixture. And then 2017, you came up with the idea of starting a podcast, and then we did that, and the magazine became less important because we found out that this is for us the right way to express ourselves, or is it right now? Because that maybe also evolved for us. And then, as you just said, we thought about, do we want to continue like this, or do we want to make changes and focus more on, I don't want to say relevant things that we have to say, but in our very first episode, when we started in you, we said we want to be more vocal about our opinions and the things that are important to us. And I think that is maybe the biggest change we made about the podcast, because we really focus on that now. And that is something that I am very happy about.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe you'll see us as a TV show next time. What?
Do we want to talk about music and games we like at the moment? I listened a lot to the In Flames album. Right now it's the upcoming album, but I did a special episode for my other podcast, so I had the opportunity to listen to it already. And of course, the new XANDRIA album and the new album by For I Am King. That's a Dutch band. That is really, really good. It's called Crown, and it's a bit in the direction of The Ghost Inside or August Burns Red. So very heavy, but also progressive elements. And the vocalist Alma does really impressive vocals on that one. So that reminded me a bit of Will Ramos from Lorna Shore.
Lorna Shore. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you like music like that, you should check them out. And I hope they will go on a huge Europe tour in the future, so that I can see them on stage also.
Yes. I have been listening to Make Them Suffer, actually.
Mm-hmm. Do they have a new keyboard player?
Yes, keyboard player and singer. Mm-hmm. I sadly do know not her name, but they already released a single a while ago with her, Doom Switch. It's really good. Yes, nice. Their songs are big earworms, and I like them a lot. Otherwise, I have been listening to a lot of podcasts, to be honest, and that's where that thing came from. I listened to this marketing podcast, and they were analyzing, I don't remember what even, but the phrase made me emotional about having something to say. As long as you have something to say with which people can connect to, mm-hmm. there will be an audience for you.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. And that's about it. I have nothing new in terms of games or music just yet, but I am looking forward very optimistically to this year, especially to seeing Spiritvox live for the very first time.
I started Diablo 2 on Nintendo Switch together with my husband. That's what I'm gaming right now, and I enjoy it a lot because I spent hours and hours when I was a teenager with that game. So that's really cool.
Oh.
And what I'm looking forward to, well,
Diablo 4 maybe? Talking about?
Yeah, when we talk about games, Diablo 4, Zelda. I'm thinking about starting with Final Fantasy Crisis Core maybe, but that's been released by the end of past year, I think. There will be a new Final Fantasy 16. So gaming, there is a lot that I'm looking forward to. When it comes to music, to be honest, I don't know. I just had the In Flames album on my bucket list, and that I already listened to right now. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to finding a lot of new stuff that I can listen to, because right now my ears are free. So bring up something that I can listen to.
Yes, same. And talking about games, if you're listening to this podcast on release day, today, February 28th, Destiny 2 will have launched the new expansion Lightfall.
Mm-hmm.
And every time they bring out a new expansion, it's the meme of shut up and take my money. And then right now, for example, I haven't played Destiny in a while. The seasonal activities right now are not the greatest. So I'm on a bit of a low phase with Destiny, but I'm sure that come the end of February, I will be back grinding that though. So yes, that's something that's coming out at the same time as this podcast episode. And I'll tell you how it goes on the next one, or maybe the one after that.
Perfect. So thank you for another interesting episode of the Bleeding Metal podcast. And thank you out there for listening.
Don't forget to subscribe or follow us on Spotify and everywhere else you get your podcast, and tell your friends. Bye.
Goodbye.